So let's talk about something about one of the very important remedy, one of the very deep acting remedy, one of the very proclaimed polycrest remedy, one of the very indispensable remedy of our Materia Medica, and that is lac caninum. This remedy is not included in homeopathy as a random inclusion. Rather, this remedy has a very strong history. Even if you will just open few chapters from your clerk dictionary of Materia Medica, clerk has given some indication, but if you will study in depth, you will find more such things from the history, that this remedy is one of the very important remedy since the time of Dioscorides. And this remedy is one of the very used remedy in many of the cases in the old school, even in the folk medicine. And it was introduced in homeopathy when Dr. Racing has witnessed while he was traveling in Europe the success of this remedy in cases of epidemic of diphtheria. And then Dr. Racing has first potentized this remedy and started its clinical application, clinical proving and proving. Then he included Dr. Swan, and Dr. Swan has proved this remedy, especially in higher potency. 30 and 200 he mostly used for the proving. And these two homeopathic stalwarts have given this remedy a very important place in our Materia Medica. And from them, and after them, this remedy faced many criticism. As we all know, this remedy is prepared from the milk of the bitch, and so it faces many criticism before its use. Even Dr. Nash accepted that he was very much against the use of this remedy till he clinically find its use in case of a rheumatic patient when the symptom was very erratic, when the symptom was very shifting, and he failed to relieve the patient after prescribing pulsatilla. And then he prescribed this, and it was his surprise what type of result he has got. Then after he used this remedy in few cases of sore throat and diphtheria, and since then he has accepted this remedy as one of the very useful and faithful member of his Materia Medica. So thanks to Dr. Racing and Dr. Swan, this remedy, for especially Dr. Swan was very much famed with this because of his proving, although the potentization was first done by Dr. Racing. And for Dr. Swan, this remedy is as famous as lachesis for Dr. Herring. And both the remedy face many criticism and many opposition even by homeopaths before its use. And then after, many homeopath has written so many things about depth of the action of this remedy and the polycrest nature of this remedy. After this, I would like to give you its important clinical aspect, and that this remedy has a very strong similarity with sulfur, very strong similarity with lachesis, somehow closer similarity with phosphorus. And one of the physicians says very frequently that whenever he prescribe nitric acid that is well indicated, and if nitric acid doesn't respond, he give a dose of lactaninum and the case start improving. So it is his clinical tips that when so according to him, he has used this as an intercurrent remedy, especially in cases where nitric acid is well indicated. This remedy as an anamnesis historically is also very important in cases of especially ENT complaint, ear, nose and throat complaint, very non-febrile inflammatory complaint of the mucous membrane of the throat. Mind my word, non-inflammatory, that means non-febrile conditions of eruptions and ulcerations in the mucous membrane of the throat and other ENT complaint, even leading to somehow a sorts of neural deafness in patients of hereditary syphilis. This remedy has a very strong and good result. This is again a clinical verified manifestation by many teachers, many practitioners. This remedy is one of the very frequently used remedy in female disorders, especially related to their menstrual complaint and their PMS. When this PMS is associated with and having a concomitant of throat complaint. So if we talk about the psychic and mental symptom of this remedy, I would like to give you a very funny, you can say, thing to remember it, and that for its mental picture, first thing that you should remember is FIFA. Do you know what is FIFA? FIFA. जिन लोगों को फुटबॉल का शौक नहीं है, एटलीस्ट नाम तो सुना ही होगा. So what is FIFA for this remedy? Just for remembering the pattern and symptoms, you can use this FIFA. And for FIFA, I would like to say you that just remember, first F is forgetfulness. F, forgetfulness. I, for imaginations, high imagination, abnormal imaginations. Imagination of such a type that even sulfur fails to reach there. सल्फर और लैकेसिस के साथ सिम्टम्स का सिम्टम आपको बताएंगे अभी. सो फर्स्ट फीफा का फर्स्ट एफ इज फॉरगेटफुल, आई फॉर इमेजिनरी, एंड देन एफ इज fearful. Very fearful remedy this is. Very fearful. And then A stands for airlifting. There is a very strong manifestation of lying in air, flying in air, living in air, not on the earth, always above. I'm not talking about alternating, because I'm discussing about the mental symptoms. That's why I have not discussed this A as an alternating, because alternation is another very characteristic symptom of this remedy. So as far as psychic is concerned, this FIFA is very strong indication. Forgetful, imaginary, fearful, airlifted feeling. And then after, two very important associated symptoms that you should remember about its mental symptom is very depressed, sad, despondent. एलेंस की नोट अगर है तो आप वहां पे सामने निकाल के देखना, एक जगह लिखा हुआ मिलेगा, एवरीथिंग सीम्स ब्लू. इसका मतलब ही नहीं कि वो ब्लू चश्मा पहने हुआ है. That means it is an indication of great depression. That is an indication of great hopelessness and helplessness. And the last one is a very ugly, irritable cursing and swearing type of disposition. Very ugly cursing and swearing disposition. And these 5 important rubric almost completes its psychic peculiarity. This is one of the most important forgetful remedy. आप एलेंस की नोट को निकालो, अगर एलेंस की नोट है वहां देखो, आप शुरुआत वहां से मिलेगा, forgetfulness. इस forgetfulness को हम इस रेमेडी का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कोर समझते हैं, और ये forgetfulness को sometimes just to understand in a very pleasant way to the student, I used to say that at the psychic level, what it forgetfulness is. At the physical level, its alternation of symptom is. Because I relate it just for the sake of understanding that at physical level, if symptom appears at one place at a time, the next time he forgets where it was, and so it appears on different place. Then next time he forgets where it was and it appears on some different place. One time it appears in the form of one disease, then he forgets, and other appears on a form of different disease. So this alternating is, for your understanding, you can say, is type of forgetfulness at the physical level. He is so forgetful, you can say it is one of the strong forgetfulness. It is not just a forgetfulness of that is carelessness of the mind. Rather, you can say it is a fixed and pathological state, a characteristic of this remedy, as if being forgetful. In his forgetfulness, it is greater than anacardium, and it is even greater than medorinum. Whereas this forgetfulness is one of the very strong characteristic of anacardium and medorinum. But this lacananum even is greater than these two remedies. You can see in Allen's keynote or in many Materia Medica, you will find as a symptom that person going to shopping, purchase the things and left the same shop. Come back home and then he reminds, oh, what I have taken, lost it. Many times I have witnessed in many patients, मार्केट प्लेस पे गए, अपने कार से कुछ सामान निकाल रहे थे, कार के पे सामान निकालते वक्त उसने कार के हेड के ऊपर रूफ पे कुछ पैकेट्स रखा, फिर कार लॉक किया और बाहर चले गए, वो वहीं ऊपर छूट गया। बाद में याद आया, कभी मिला कभी नहीं मिला। इवन समटाइम्स हाथ में कुछ ड्रिंक्स था, चल रहे थे, पी रहे थे, लाइक दिस कॉफी और XYZ, कार खोलने गए, कार के ऊपर रख दिया, कार में बैठे, ड्राइव किए, चले गए, पता चला वो पीछे गिर गया, रह गया। Sometimes it is also observed that you have a thing that is in your hand and you are searching the whole room for that. So strong forgetfulness, even you can think that such thing that it is difficult to forget it. अब कोई सामान लेने जाता है, कोई जिस पर्पस के लिए दुकान पे गया है, अब वहां उसको खरीद ले, पे कर ले, और फिर उसके बाद भूला 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 चले आए. So this forgetfulness is one of the first and most important characteristic of this remedy. Those who have Allen's keynote, एक बार उसका पहला 2 पैराग्राफ पढ़ना, सामने है किताब अभी?
Yes, sir. For nervous, restless, highly sensitive organisms, symptoms erratic, pains constantly flying from one part to another, salivicrome pulsatilla, changing from side to side every few hours or days. Feel very forgetful, absent-minded, makes purchases and walks away without them. Agnus anacardium causticum natrum.
मेडोरिनम भी ऐड कर लो. Clinically, this anacardium and medorinum are very important. And this remedy is even much more greater forgetful than these two remedies. So after this forgetfulness, the next very important symptom is its imagination. This is such a strong and important symptom that it makes not only the life of the patient, but the family members, those who are associated with him, so miserable. It has an extreme of unimaginable imaginations, you can see. And this imagination, we have a very important remedy for this imaginary and you can say happy thinking about is our sulfur. And this is also called ragged philosopher. In this lat caninum, it is all short of either happy thinking, happy imagination, wrong imaginations, fearful imaginations, different sorts of unimaginable imagination, you can say. For example, बहुत सारे author बोलते हैं कि आप drawing room में बैठा है, very frequently he will search behind the chair, very frequently he will search behind the sofa, कि वहां से कहीं कोई छिपकली तो नहीं आ रही, वहां नीचे से कोई स्पाइडर तो नहीं आ रहा, वहां से कोई सांप तो निकल के नहीं आ रहा. और सांप और स्पाइडर तो बिल्कुल भरा पड़ा हुआ इसके इमेजिनेशन में, इसके ड्रीम में, इसके हेलुसिनेशन में, इसके इल्यूजन में, एवरीवेयर. One of the very important remedy for fear of a snake, imagination of a snake, dreams of a snake. And it's this imagination, one of the very peculiar symptoms is that when the lights are off, he is having no fear of that. When the lights are on, now he sees that something is coming out. अंधेरे में कुछ नहीं है, सब ठीक है. जहां लाइट जला, अब उसको दिखेगा कि शायद सोफा के पीछे से कुछ निकल के आ रहा है, उस कॉर्नर से कुछ निकल के आ रहा है, बाहर से कुछ निकल के आ रहा है, विंडो के होल से कुछ निकल के आ रहा है. In imagination, he has a strong feeling that he is not at home. He is in the air, lifting in the air. Even in vertigo, he has a feeling that he is just lying in the air. जिस तरह से स्टिक्टा के अंदर भी एक थोड़ा सा सिम्टम मिलेगा, लगेगा he is flying in the air, lying in the air. So any sort of absurd imagination you will find in this remedy. Among them, one of the very peculiar and persistent type of imagination that this remedy has is the imagination of a snake. And very surprisingly, he is living in the drawing room. Even if he is living in the 10th floor, 8th floor, it is not nearby any garden. There is not nearby anything that has any source of a snake. But he feels that from that side a snake is coming. And when, especially when lights are on, not when lights are off, he feels that a snake is attacking him. He feels that spiders are coming out. He feels that a small vermins are in the sofa. And he will constantly with full effort, try to search it out. ऐसा ही छोटा सा imagination होता है regarding robbers, regarding thief, in case of Natremure when he is going to sleep or when he is in the sleep. But इसको तो जगह जगह में हो रहा है, बैठे बैठे में हो रहा है, रोशनी में हो रहा है, अंधेरे की तो बात ही नहीं है. And this imagination actually turns him into a very fearful individual. and from there it is a strong different shots of imaginary fear. एंड व्हेन आप किसी चीज को सोच सकते हो, एवरी शॉट ऑफ बाहर में कुछ हो जाएगा, कोई एक्सीडेंट हो जाएगा, गिर जाएंगे, सांप आ गया है, अभी काट लेगा, मेरे पे अटैक करेगा, बिच्छू काट लेगा, all sorts of fear are there and very intense belief about that. Many a times this remedy was used in many cases of psychosis. I'm not talking about homeopathic miasm psychosis, it is PSY psychosis, based on such character of his mind and disposition, and with good result. And actually, if it is very properly utilized in many cases of mental diseases, of course, my suggestion is to use this in mental diseases, you must consider some physical concomitant for a good and better prescribing. And so this remedy is having all sorts of manifestation that is very much evident nowadays in psychiatry and psychosis. So forgetful imaginations and that imaginary things leads to a strong fear about different animals, different vermins, snake, spider, things that happens. And then this feeling of being airlifted, a feeling of being, it is again an imagination and fear that he is not on the earth, he is in the air, living in the air, flying in the air. This imagination is not only restricted in the time when he is awake. You will find a very peculiar symptom in this also, that even when he is in sleep, he has an imagination that he is urinating in the toilet. And when he realizes he has just having an episode of bedwetting. So he thinks, he dreams, he imagines in the dream, he sees in the dream that he is urinating in the toilet, but he is urinating on the bed. And then the two other very important aspects that I have told you, that very strong ugliness, very intense ugliness, very intense anger and rage, attack of very severe rage that occurs in this individual, with a strong tendency for cursing and swearing, as if it is in case of lilium tig, as if it is in case of nitric acid, as if it is in case of anacardium. ये दो सिम्टम आप एक बार एलेंस की नोट में निकाल के देखो, ये अगलीनेस वाला सिम्टम, डिस्पोंडेंसी,
Despondent, hopeless, thinks a disease incurable, has not a friend living, nothing worth living for, could weep at any moment. Timicifuga, aurum, calcarea, lachesis.
अच्छा एक मिनट रुकना, इस सिम्टम के ऊपर एक बड़ा अच्छा क्लिनिकल टिप्स याद कर लेना. It is one of the very important verified symptom in cases of a female suffering from metritis or any sort of endometrial disease that is associated with this causeless frequent weeping multiple times in a day. बैठे बैठे हैं रो रहे हैं, घर पे बैठे बैठे रो रहे हैं, and she is suffering from metritis or endometrial diseases. This is one of the very important clinical tips of this remedy. वहां पे ऐड करके लिख लो, अगर भी याद आए तो आप फिर पढ़ो आप.
Cross, irritable. Child cries and screams all the time, especially at night. Jalapa, Nux vomica, Soraina. Fears to be alone, Kalika, of dying,
तो fear में आ गया, वो वाला पढ़ो, chronic blue condition.
chronic blue condition. Everything seems so dark that it can grow no darker, like opals.
So ये इस सेंटेंस का मतलब क्या है? अभी अभी हमने बताया कुछ देर पहले. हाँ, इसका मतलब ये मत समझ लेना कि वहाँ सराउंडिंग्स में ब्लू कलर किया हुआ है, ब्लू पेंटिंग है.
डिप्रेशन सर बहुत ज्यादा डिप्रेस्ड होगा.
स्ट्रॉन्ग डिप्रेशन, स्ट्रॉन्ग होपलेसनेस, a symptom of strong depression and hopelessness. And ये जो दो, depression, hopelessness, anger, cursing, is one of the associated supporting symptom of its disposition. Main symptom, what I have told you just in the form of short form of FIFA. Along with that, you add this symptom and you will get almost a complete psychic manifestation to prescribe, at least to understand the prescription and the use it in your clinic for lactic fluoride. Sorry, laccanine. So this FIFA and this symptom is one of the very important aspect of its mental symptom. Now, if we talk about its physical symptom, तो वहां पे सबसे पहले एक symptom हम आपको बताना चाहेंगे before we are talking about metritis or menstrual symptom or XYZ. एक symptom है जिसको बहुत अच्छे से याद रखना, and that symptom is oversensitiveness. At physical level, first remember oversensitiveness. It is so oversensitive that even platina fails. He or she is so oversensitive that even sometimes lachesis fails. इसके ओवर सेंसिटिवनेस के बारे में कहा जाता है कि ये इतना ओवर सेंसिटिव हो जाता है कि इवन, देखो मेरा हाथ देखो, he or she cannot keep his fingers like this, he will always keep it like that. एक फिंगर दूसरे फिंगर से टच कर रहा है तब भी इसका कंप्लेन है. प्लेटिना फेल्स क्यों कह रहे हैं कि इसके बारे में कई सारे डॉक्टर्स ने बहुत अच्छे से वेरीफाइड सिम्टम्स बताया है कि इवन वाइल टॉकिंग, वॉकिंग, व्हेन पेशेंट वॉक्स और देयर इज contact between the genitals, rubbing or slightly pressure on the genitals, and it excites the extreme sexual excitement. It excites as if patient gets irritated. And this excitation is even much more greater than the platina. Sensitive to such a level that even patient doesn't want to have proper cloth, properly covered. Even one part of his body, she tried to keep it apart, not in a close way. So slightest touch of the fingers together, slightest touch on the genitals, slightest touch of the different parts are so sensitive. It is so sensitive in the throat that it is what is the characteristic of lachesis, that we find that any covering around the throat is intolerable. In this lac caninum, it is also of a very highest degree. And especially when there is a complaint, there is an inflammation in the throat, now this symptom becomes an intense, highly intensified. And this sensitivity and complaint in the throat, left to right, we frequently think about lachesis. But just wait for the day and you will find from right to left again. And then lachesis loses its application and it calls for the lectomy. So sensitiveness is one of the first and most marked, very important symptom at the physical level of this remedy. And for this sensitiveness, you can remember with platina, you can remember with lachesis, you can somehow remember with murex, even somehow you can correlate it with hyoscyamus. And this sensitiveness is very intolerable, make the patient very anger, rageful, irritant, and on genital, it creates with irritability. There is a strong sexual impulse out of that irritation, out of this sensitivity. And during this sensitivity, there is a strong this sexual desire, but otherwise the patient goes into an aversion to that. So here you can say again, it is very close to the cantheris. Cantheris has also this similar fate of feeling. Then after this sensitivity, you should note down very important observation symptom of this that you will again find with similarity with different other remedies. And that observation is there is very marked cracked fissure on the corners of the mouth, on the margins of the nose, even between the fingers, middle of the lips. And based on these symptoms, you may miss this remedy like antim crude, you may miss remedy like nitric acid, you may miss remedy like condurango, even sometimes with sepia and natramute. So throat में आप यहाँ पर देखोगे एक बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट इंडिकेशंस है, सॉलिड फूड नहीं खाया जा रहा, गर्म फूड खा रहे हो मुंह में जाएगा, नाक से आ जाएगा, ये सारा एक कॉमन सिम्टम है डिप्थीरिया का, स्पेशली जब मेम्ब्रेन फॉर्मेशन होना शुरू हो जाता है डिप्थीरिया में. तो यू कैन इमेजिन ऑल सॉर्ट्स ऑफ दिस पिक्चर and especially with a very violent and malignant type of diphtheria that you will find here. यहाँ पे all sorts of common symptoms of diphtheria with three important features that you should remember. First is very intense and rapidity of development of this throat complaint. Second is the shifting from side to side. And third is external sensitivity of the throat. This remedy is very useful remedy for menstrual sore throat. It is very important remedy for menstrual sore throat. Every time during menses, there is sore throat, there is hoarseness, which is also somehow you will find somewhere in Macar as well as in Medorinum. Before menses, there is heaviness and pain in the mammary gland. There is sore throat. And even in case of many types of mastitis, it is very important remedy. And if that mastitis have a modality or accompanying factor that appears before menses and disappear afterwards when the flow starts. Sometimes in case of persistent mastitis, this is very important remedy. और यहाँ पे एक बड़ा अच्छा important symptom है that you should note down that this remedy at this complaint is sensitive to hard pressure. When you are slightly touching, the patient is no sensitive for that. Hard pressure, the patient will feel strong discomfort. और यहाँ पे देखोगे दो इंपॉर्टेंट रेमेडी है जिसका डिफरेंशिएशन कर लेना. इस हार्ट प्रेशर के लिए यहाँ पे along with leccaninum, moxol is also the remedy. And when it is in case of mastitis, intolerance to slight pressure or touch, then it is calcarea, carb and murex. अभी आप में से किसी के पास क्लर्क डिक्शनरी ऑफ मेट्रिया मेडिका है? चलो, अगर क्लर्क डिक्शनरी आपके पास होगा तो क्लर्क डिक्शनरी में जाना, वहां जहां रिलेशनशिप दिया हुआ है इस लेक्केनाइनम में, वहां जाके आप पढ़ोगे, इस रेमेडी को आप अच्छे से और निकाल लेना, ये जो सिम्टम बताया है. और अदरवाइज एक बहुत और इंपॉर्टेंट सिम्टम है इसी के मेस्टाइटिस में कि पेशेंट इज वेरी सेंसिटिव टू जार. When patient is suffering from mastitis and if she is walking, it is very intolerable for her, and sometimes it needs to support with hand for movement. Very sensitive to jar, like belladonna, like Bryannia alba. This remedy for in this complaint is having another very important use. आप देखोगे आपके एलेंस की नोट में भी एक सिम्टम लिखा हुआ है. That this remedy is called for to stop the milk. When the baby started taking outer food, but still mother is having excess of milk, and to stop the secretion of excess of milk, this remedy is indicated. It is very opposite to that of lactifluoretum. वहां क्या होता है, बेबी अभी suckling है और milk production नहीं हो रहा, then it is lactifluoretum. Or where milk is in excess, you want to dry up, go for leccaninum. And when properly milk is not dried and baby is not suckling the milk, and then after if mastitis develop, then at that time do not prescribe leccaninum, prescribe Bryannia alba 12C and see the result. So this mastitis, sore throat, association of menses, excessive profuse menses, this remedy has occurred. And the characteristics of, especially from the nose, but somewhere also, although it is not very marked in menstrual bleeding, but if there is a stringy bleeding, this remedy is having bright red stringy bleeding. Crocus has dark stringy bleeding. Now, some other very important concomitants of this remedy, and that in concomitants you will find that this remedy is having a very strong aversion to all sorts of sweets in any form. Patient is very intolerant to sweet, and patient is having a strong hungry feeling like sulfur, frequent going for a stool like sulfur. ये हंगरी इतना है, देखो आपके एलेंस की नोट पे एक सिम्टम लिखा हुआ है, खा लेगा, खा लेने के बाद फिर लगेगा कि पेट खाली है. खाने से पहले जितना भूख लगा हुआ था, खाने के बाद वैसे ही भूखा है अभी भी. और अब वहीं पे दूसरा चीज लिखो, देयर इज a strong desire for highly seasoned food. There is a strong desire for highly spicy food. There is a strong desire for excessive salt. काली मिर्च देखा है, इसको अगर सूप दिया जाए ना तो ऊपर से एक्स्ट्रा काली मिर्च डालेगा. इसको अगर अंडा खाना हो ना तो पूरा काली मिर्च से भर के काला कर देगा, फिर खाएगा. स्ट्रॉन्ग डिजायर फॉर दिस पेपर. राजस्थान में कई जगह पे लाल वाली मिर्च को बड़ा अच्छे से प्रिपेयर करके खाली खाली खाया जाता है. लाल मिर्च आउट ऑफ द राजस्थान की बात करें अगर, और किसी को ये बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग डिजायर हो, it is this leccaninum. Again you will find in this remedy like sulfur burning in palm and sole. Like lachesis, you will find sensitiveness to the throat. You will find excessive imagination, loquacity. You will find patient is very much absent-minded. Patient is having sore throat. Patient is having this PMS. Patient is having a strong attack of rags like bromium, lycopodium, and nux vomica. This remedy is also having physometra. So, great remedy for alternating of symptoms, a great remedy for erratic pains, great remedy for shifting complaint. Forget what is the name of the complaint. If you are finding a very erratic pain, very shifting complaint, this is one of the first remedy that first comes into the mind for prescription.